This is the Our Voice 360 podcast, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. This podcast was created with you in mind. On Our Voice 360, we'll give you inspiration, sports, business and leadership tips, Black history, and entertainment. This is a show built from our perspectives. So if you're ready to be entertained, inspired, laugh a little, be informed, and enlightened, tune in now to Our Voice 360. Let's go! Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. I'm your man, Chad Bumgarner. I got with me my man, Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
And with that, let's go ahead and get into it, Pete.
And as always, our podcast is brought to you by Elect Graphics and Photography. Allow your visions to become reality, and CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And ladies and gentlemen, if you would also like to talk to us about what you like about the show, what you don't like, or maybe what you want to see or hear in the show, please do not hesitate to contact us at ourvoice360@gmail.com. That's ourvoice360@gmail.com. Now that we've got all the formalities out of the way, today's going to be another great conversation with me and Pete. This is more like a barbershop atmosphere, if you will, where we just talk about the topics of the day, what we feel like is important, not only to us, but to, our community as African Americans, or even as a whole, because we all need to be enlightened and informed to how other people see things and how other people feel and think. Exactly. So on the topic list today, man, we're going to touch on the stimulus bill a little bit. We're going to talk about that, how it's affecting us as a country. And then we're going to get a little deeper. We're going to talk about, do Black people suffer, or do they have the Stockholm Syndrome? And if we don't suffer from it, or if we don't have it, why don't we just pack up and leave? So those are the things we're going to be talking about. So right now, let's dive on into the stimulus bill. Pete, as you know, the stimulus bill has gone through the Senate and the House. It's been passed. Arguably, by one side, it's the bill is too big, but let's not forget, a year ago, the bill was just as big, and there were no complaints. So I don't understand why the complaining for this bill is out there, other than
we'll get into those complaints for sure, and the reasoning why.
Right, but you all are gonna have to go online and find out all the specifics of the bill, because I don't remember, and I didn't print out. I know I read it, but I didn't print it out as far as what you're getting as far as a single person, as opposed to, married and making so much amount of money. I know they have the breakdowns on them.
Yeah, basically what it is basically $1,400 for individuals. If you're married, $1,400 per person home, but you have to make less than $150,000 total as a couple. For individuals, you have to make less than $75,000.
Okay.
And then if you have children, each child is $1,400 for each child in your home, also.
Up until age, I think 17 or 18.
17 or 18.
Yeah.
But for those children that are not considered adults and that's in your home, they receive $1,400 as well. So. Yeah, I think that's what the breakdown is.
Okay. I know it was not that specific. Well, I shouldn't say specific, but it wasn't that targeted last year when the bill was put out. It seems like the reins were a lot more loose. So now they're really trying to buckle down on who should get the money as opposed to who shouldn't.
Right.
When, if you want to be honest about it, that should have been done on the last stimulus bill, but
who were in control at that time. So that's why it was a lot less given out to people. And also in this stimulus bill, it's very pointed in things that they and people they want to help, like black farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Black farmers is getting millions and millions of dollars out of this stimulus package, which the Republicans I've seen on Fox News and other Republican like websites and stuff that and let
They're kind
me
of pissed about that.
yeah
And I don't understand that.
they're really upset about that because of course, like you're helping black people. Why are you going out of your way to help black people? It's white farmers too, not knowing that white farmers get more subsidies than any other race as far as farming than any other race in the country. So
it's also
why,
been
and that's
proven
why.
statistically that the black farmers get less. I guess I'm just reiterating what you're saying, but they get less funding from the
Exactly.
government, and
Yeah.
as far as trying to get loans to
Exactly
buy the
right.
seeds and update their equipment and things of that nature. They make it harder for them to provide a living, much less produce food for the country. I mean, all this farming is not just for them. They're doing this to
For
help
the
feed
whole
the country.
country.
Right, just like the white farmers. But for
Right.
some reason, there's a disparity when it comes to white farmers getting funding and grants and things of that nature to buy seed and equipment, as opposed to the black farmers. And it should just be a lump sum for all farmers in America, period.
And
I don't understand why there's a discrepancy when both farmers, white and black, are doing the same job for the same people. It just blows my mind. And the fact that this bill really caters to them helps reduce that wealth disparity, that financial gap.
The gap. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they can be on the same playing field as far as equipment and being able to produce quality food, because that can only help us as Americans. I mean, I don't understand why you want them to suffer unless there's a bigger agenda. And I don't want to try to assume things, but when you put pieces to the puzzle together,
we know
you're
what it
left
is.
wondering.
Chad, Chad, you're the guy on our podcast that you want to look at it from the holistic. I don't want to do. Nah, bro, we know what it is. We know what it is. We don't want them black farmers to succeed. That's really what
it boiled down to me as far as my thought process.
Yeah,
we want them to survive. We want them to starve and struggle so we can buy them out in their land for pennies on the dollar, and make them broke and have to sell their land for basically free, so that somebody of a paler hue can come in and take over and do what they could have done originally.
Exactly.
And I think it's just so unfortunate, but I'm glad that Biden, the Biden administration, thought enough to look at this situation and be like, you know what? We can't have this. And so for the Republicans to be upset, and like Lindsey Graham was saying that this was reparations because the black farmers got so much money to, buy seed, build, buy equipment, update equipment, things of that nature. This is reparations because it's helping black farmers. It's not helping the Asian farmers or the white farmers or the white women. No, it's helping just the black farmers. And I'm like,
and we're gonna leave Lindsey where Lindsey's at, because I could say a few things about Lindsey Graham, but I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want our podcast to shut down. But yeah,
it's also about integrity with me. You can't play both sides of the field.
Exactly.
And, with Lindsey, and we're not gonna stay on him because it's much bigger than him, but because he made that statement, I feel like that was very disrespectful to the black farmers when all they wanted was to have equal access,
equal playing.
Right.
We don't want no handouts. We just want to be equal. We just want to be equal and play and on the same playing field as everybody else. That's all.
No more, no less.
That's all. Yeah, that's all we ask. That's as a people.
And for him to put that out there like that, because the thing that gets me, and I'm not trying to stray off topic, but it has a lot to do with this vote with this stimulus, is that you got to be a person of your word. You know what I mean? You just have to be a person of your word. And when Lindsey, to me, I don't feel like I can trust him. I can't trust him because since January till now, the flip-flopping that he's done, and he's no different than a lot of politicians, but he's the highlight right now because of that blatant remark that he made about the black farmers and how the money being reparations. How dare he?
Yeah.
Very
Uh,
disrespectful. But go ahead.
exactly. Also in this bill, a lot of targeted money to HBCUs, of course,
Yes.
HBCUs and struggling inner city schools, from Head Start programs to elementary schools to middle schools, high schools, and predominantly black communities are also being targeted in this bill. So that's fantastic that
It is.
HBCUs are getting the shine that they're getting right now, as far as not only being seen more from a aspect of being seen on the national level, as far as these schools are very key to the United States. The HBCUs have some of the best, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the best curriculums and of any big school. I mean, on the same par, and a lot of HBCUs are being put in the forefront right now. And that, even though we're HBCU, we can do the same things as these other schools can do, as far as
If
our
not better.
curriculum, if not better, as far as our curriculums are concerned. I mean,
And the students that we produce.
sir, man, my goodness. I mean, HBCUs have some of the best engineering schools,
Hmm.
engineering curriculums in the country,
That's true.
aerospace in the country. So, I mean, the HBCUs are extremely important to this country. And
You
like I
know,
said,
Xavier University produces the most black pharmacists in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
hmm
And that's in Louisiana. North
right,
Carolina Central in Durham, North
right,
Carolina.
hmm
Great law school
right.
produces a
Oh,
lot of
yes,
great
yes,
African American
sir.
lawyers.
Yes,
You know what I
sir.
mean?
hmm
So, and then you've got down the street North Carolina A&T, whose
hmm
engineering department is out of this world.
Out of this world, sir. Yes,
From my
sir.
understanding, I think they have a partnership with NASA,
hmm
if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, here we go again, where we just want to be on the same playing field.
hmm Exactly.
You know what I mean? And to give a quick background on HBCUs, they came into existence because we were not allowed to go to the white universities.
Right.
So we had to create schools for us.
hmm
And excuse me. And it just really I think the bill, the money for the bill is long overdue. I
Right.
know that previous administration made a comment of all the work that they did for HBCUs, but the work that they did was not necessarily that accurate because it was already in the works from the Obama administration. It just carried
Exactly.
over,
hmm
and
hmm
the Trump administration was nice enough to extend it. I will say that
hmm
they extended it,
Right.
but with the Obama administration, I wished that they would have given the amount of money that the Biden administration
hmm
had given. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, I appreciate what the Obama administration did, but I felt like they could have done more,
Right.
for the HBCUs because again, we just want to be on the same playing field, the
That's
same
all.
playing field. We
That's
have
all.
a lot of great students, a lot of brilliant minds that for whatever reason were not allowed to or accepted into the PWI's predominantly white institutes.
hmm
And so we have to build up our HBCUs. You know what I mean? We
Exactly.
have to
Right.
make sure that they have everything that they need so that our kids, will continue to have
Exactly.
quality education and come out and be
hmm
productive citizens
hmm
of the United States because it's about moving this country forward.
Right.
And it's going to take all of us, not just white, not just black, but it's going to take all of us to get back to the forefront where we used to be many, many years ago.
Right.
So I appreciate that in the stimulus bill for the HBCUs, and I think better things and better days are coming because of that.
hmm Right. Right. But overall, this is something that needed to happen,
Hmm.
especially with with COVID and basically a year lost seem like basically a
Hmm.
year lost for a lot of people, whether it be wages or insurance or whatever the case may be. I mean, a lot of people lost basically a year, and now we're getting to the point where, you know, vaccines are coming out, and people are getting their vaccines and this, that, and the third, and stuff is starting, even in some unsafely, opening back up. States are and places are starting to open back up. In certain states, they're just going willy nilly. Texas, Florida, Connecticut, they're just like, we just gonna open up everything and just, you know, let the chips fall where they may. I mean, you know, but which is to me is very irresponsible. But you know, that those leaders are who they are. So, but we are turning the corner, and there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, which is fantastic. So, this stimulus bill or survival bill or whatever you wanna call it has really been great for the people of the United States.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. As a matter of fact, the stimulus is supposed to be coming out this week, right?
Well, actually, it was signed Thursday, and people were getting checks evening. They were getting money in their accounts Thursday evening, and I was like, wow, okay, you know, looking at Twitter and Facebook. I mean, not Twitter, but Twitter and Instagram. A lot of people were saying that, you know, it was signed, and a few hours later they were getting their check in their bank accounts that evening. So I think I heard last night that over 90 million people have received stimulus, if they're going to receive stimulus,
right?
Have received their stimulus. So that's good. So I mean, you know, yeah, it didn't take long. Like I said, it took a few hours after President Biden signed it, you know, into law or into fruition. It was immediately money started being sent out. So that is a good thing. And for me, it's still not enough as far as I'm concerned, as far as helping, as you look at other countries, you know, the Canadas and I think France and some of the European countries who are paying their people $2,000 a month, each month, well, for per person in your household. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And the United States has that capability, but you know, the leaders of this country are, you know, I don't think they value the American people as other countries do. So I mean, that's why
Well, I think a lot of the powers that be in the Senate and the House, you know, they to me, they all have their own personal agendas.
Right.
A lot of it stems or is connected to big business. If it doesn't benefit the big business where they, you know, allegedly get their kickbacks from, then they're not going to go forward with it. Meanwhile, the American people, the middle class and lower class who really make this country run, are suffering. That was one of the things about this stimulus bill that I didn't like, was the fact that, you know, they took too long trying to get to this point. They're fighting over, you know, penny ante stuff in the bill. And like the one senator, how he wanted the whole bill read, which took 10 hours, which was ridiculous waste of time and government money. Nobody was in the Senate to even listen to it being read. So I didn't understand the purpose other than to delay the inevitable. Meanwhile, you got people out here who are still suffering, who are losing jobs, who are losing homes, who are losing cars, who can't afford food, who are really trying to figure out how they're going to make it from day to day. And you got the powers to be up here in office mad about the verbiage in one line of the stimulus bill, or this clause was snuck in the bill, and but they have a home to go to. They have money in their bank account. If they lost the Senate tomorrow, they could go off into the sunset and they would be fine. So I don't really think a lot of them are connected to their constituents from the states that they come from, are really tuned in to what's going on, because they're supposed to be there to represent the people who put them in office from whichever state they come from. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them are out of touch. And I honestly felt like if it's going to take a while for this to happen, another dime. You shouldn't make another paycheck until the thing is done.
Right.
For people in the House and the Senate, money is the great motivator. So when you stop it and you say, look, nobody gets paid until this bill gets done. Oh, I guarantee you things will get done a lot quicker.
Oh yeah.
See, as long as they have their comfort zone and they're able to go back and forth and fight. And a lot of them claim they're doing stuff for the people, but
Nah.
we all know what that is.
Yeah.
We all know what that is. It's about protecting their own personal interests, in my opinion. They're
Right.
not really thinking about the people that elected them, that put them in the House or in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Because anytime you turn on the news, you'll see people are desperate for this stimulus package so they can get some of them to get back on their feet, some of them to
Mm-hmm.
just try to get on their feet.
Yeah, yeah, or get to the next day. I mean,
Oh,
you know
get
what I'm
to the
saying?
right.
Feed my kids, feed my babies. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I mean, this is something. I'm glad that it passed. I'm glad, like I said, it will. It's not enough, but it is something. I mean, and that's bad to say that. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As rich as this country is, um, but I'm glad that it passed, and I'm glad that people are actually being helped with this money that's being put into people's bank accounts and put into people's hands. So that is a positive. So
It is. It is.
yeah, yeah.
All right, well, let's turn the page a little bit, Pete. Let's talk about this topic that I think is very important. Um, do Black people have Stockholm Syndrome, Pete?
First of all, let's define what Stockholm Syndrome is. And Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological response. It occurs when hostages or abuse victims bond with their captors or abusers. This psychological connection develops over the course of days, weeks, months, or even years of the captive and the abused. I brought this up, before we started the show, Chad, because it 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 was on my has been on my mind for like a week about our people and about our struggle. And again, the question is, do we have Stockholm syndrome as a people, as a black people in this country? And I think we do. I mean, to some extent, if we're going by the definition of what Stockholm syndrome is, and basically it's empathy and a connection with the abuser and the abused. And as a people, we have been abused since we've stepped on this earth or this continent, this North American continent. We have been the abused by this country. And again, the abuser, who is the United States, is also the person or the entity that feeds us as a people. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We get, as a people, this is like you said before we started the show. This is what we know. A lot of us, this is all we know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our people have this syndrome because we're in a comfort zone as a people. No matter what happens, no matter how many uh, police shootings, how many people kill us, and or whatever, as black people, we like, okay, that's just Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just
Right.
Wednesday. That's our mindset. We'll look at the news, we'll shake our head, and we'll
So we
go on
become
about a
numb
day.
to
Yeah,
the situation. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. We've become numb to the abuse, and I think as a people, we do suffer from that.
You know what? I would have to agree, Pete. And while you were talking, I was just sitting here and thinking. I think it's a twofold to it. Yeah, we suffer from that because um of being abused for so long, but then at the same time, to me, I feel like the wisdom of our ancestors have taught us. It's almost scriptural where it says, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I
Hmm.
say that to say
Hmm.
generations pass because people grow up in environments of learned behavior.
Right.
So they see it as life, as normal life,
Hmm.
until they interact with someone who can enlighten them.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? On what it
Exactly.
really is, or the other side of this coin, if you will. You
Right.
see this as life. Let me give you an example. The rebel flag. You have this generation and maybe one or two before us. No, 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 no. This generation and maybe one behind us who say they see it as pride of the South, Southern pride. You know, how we grew up. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I get that. And I know a lot of African Americans may not like what I'm saying, but just hear me out. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're allowed to engage some of them and say, I hear what you're saying, but this is what that flag means to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we grew up in the same era. This is how you see the flag and what it means to you. This is what it means to me.
Right.
What it says to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have two people on opposite sides of the fence with open minds, the the the, the whole thing to hopefully take away from this is come to an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You may not necessarily always agree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But at
Right.
least you're willing to hear the other side
Exactly.
and to have empathy.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you can get mad because somebody says something that was derogatory or racist or whatever. Your grandmother could be like, "Baby, just forgive them. They don't know what they doing. They was raised like that. They don't know any
Mm-hmm.
better."
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where the empathy comes in at. But
Mm-hmm.
then I say it's twofold because okay, they don't know any better, but can I talk to you? Because
Mm-hmm.
now the engagement
Mm-hmm.
needs to start.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know better because you haven't talked to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You've grown up in this bubble, and a lot of times this happens to a lot of white people, usually in high school or college, when they get a chance to interact in a diverse environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them are quick to talk about how they were raised, how they were brought up, and how they thought it was cool. And I get that because that's all you've known. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get to meet other people and you see other views and opinions,
Mm-hmm.
then you should start to take stock in what you're thinking and feeling. Be like, wow,
Right.
I had what? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
See, what means apple pie and grandma to you means rape and pillage to me,
Mm-hmm.
means abuse, means the selling of my siblings or my mother and
Mm-hmm.
father, who
Mm-hmm.
I'll never see again. It
Mm-hmm.
means being on
Exactly.
this post, being whipped 30 times as I'm looking at that god awful flag, which they
Mm-hmm.
love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes, sir.
for some people, it's an eye opener. Real quick, I don't watch it, but it was a big issue in the news with the Bachelor, the African American, how he had to let the girl that he was dating go, and she was a white girl because of something that happened in her past. She had like an antebellum, uh, it wasn't a wedding, I don't know what, a party or something like that in the deep south.
Mm-hmm.
The plantation in the background and all this other stuff. And he
Mm-hmm.
was saying how bad it hurt him that she felt that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing about this was, well, it appears that
Mm-hmm.
she had an eye opener because of that conversation with the brother. And she
Mm-hmm.
realized that she was living in ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
She apologized. And she said she was willing to learn and open up and, you know, be educated. Now, everybody's not going to be that way. But it appears that she was willing to, open up and listen and be more receptive and to look at it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So going all the way around the mulberry tree.
That's cool.
The Stockholm Syndrome is in place, with the black people. I agree with you. I do.
Yeah.
But I think at the
It,
same time, we need, and then there's a fight on this too, Pete, because you'll hear a lot of black people say it's not my job to educate or to get them up to speed on racism and what it is and what it means. But I feel like we kind of have to, because what else, how else are we gonna move forward?
well, I mean, for me, that's gonna be always be my stance. Is it's not my job to educate you. It's not my job. If when we're talking about this right here, it's not my job to educate you about race relations. It's not my job to educate you about racism because your
Y'all
people
created it.
created racism.
But
So you
here's the deal,
but
though. You're saying that to the generation of here and now.
mhm. Okay, Google's your friend. We have something called Google. We have something. Yeah, go research it yourself.
No,
Go
no, no, no.
research
But I'm
yourself.
saying you're saying
Mhm.
it's you're saying it's not my job to educate you on racism and race relations, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Hmm.
But okay, you know what? I take that back. I hear what you're saying.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to
Google's your
say it out
friend.
loud. I got you.
Yeah. Google's your friend. And I mean, if you want to learn about that, it's plenty books, it's plenty pictures, it's a plethora of information
So
out
Pete,
there.
if somebody
But
was
back,
to come to you and say, "Hey, I would really like to sit down and have a cup of coffee or break bread with you and really try to figure out how I can evolve as a white American."
we can do that. I've done that before. And it was pretty recent. It was probably back last October when that happened. I sat down with a white guy at the golf course, and we had to rap a taste about us situation. So I mean, and he was enlightened, after the conversation. But I mean, but it's incumbent if you want to learn about racism and this, that, and the third, and how you need to get better. Read a book, Google. I mean, it's your friend. It's not my place because we are the subjugated. So it's not for us to inform you or let you know or tell you how to change your life. That has to be something that you have to do. But back to the Stockholm syndrome, as far as with our people, is again, I do agree with that we do have Stockholm syndrome, but I think it's from like I said, it's from a place of convenience. It's a place of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, this is all we've been accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're used to. This is what how we've been brought up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why uh, uh, we have this Stockholm syndrome as a people. And again, it's hard to separate from your abuser. And I just use this analogy for food. It's hard to separate from your abuser when that abuser is the one that feeds you. If you We're going to put it in the situation of a household, whether it's the man, the woman that's being abused, or the man that's being abused in the household. If that person is the breadwinner, if that person is the person that that feeds you and keeps a roof over your head or keeps the lights on and this, that, and the third, and you've been with this person X amount of years, and every day that you're gonna get fed. Every day when you come home, the light's gonna be on. That abuse is like, okay, well, I'll take that.
Right,
You
because
know
of
what
the
I'm saying?
benefits.
But because of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I see our people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We've been abused, like I said, since we've touched this continent. But guess what? I can go down here to Kroger and get some groceries. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can go to this place. I can go to McDonald's and get something to eat. You know what I'm saying? I can call Pizza Hut and have a pizza delivered. I can do X, Y, and Z. So, them killing another unarmed black man, woman, or child, I don't like it, but where else am I gonna go?
And I think it's I
But
think it's I
yeah,
think that's set up by design too, Pete. I do.
exactly. It's part of the system. It's the
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
It's set up by design to keep you dependent.
Wow, that is a big word, Chad. Say that word again, sir. Say that word again.
It's set up to keep us dependent
Yeah,
on them.
yeah. You're exactly right. I mean, and at some point, and if you look through the years of men and women that have stood up against the system,
They're not here no more.
bruh, whether it be Malcolm, Dr. King, Medgar Evers,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Black Panther Party. Anytime we, as a people, we've stood up against the system and how the system is run, and when we've come into a situation where we want to do for self, and we have a leader that wants to bring our people together to move forward together as a people. Okay, forget what you think about us. We don't really care what you think about us. We gonna do for self. They put them in the ground, bruh. They put them 6 feet deep because that's a threat to the system.
Right.
Because the system knows how powerful as a people we are.
And the thing is, people say that the system is broken, but it's not. It's working just how they designed it to work.
Yes, sir.
It is working just how they designed it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's like with the Stockholm Syndrome and us, having empathy. And if you look over the course of decades,
mm-hmm.
It's funny. But while you were talking, I was just thinking about that, and it's like every so many years, we I don't want to say allowed, but more things are. I don't even know how to say it, Pete. More things are given to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let me use an example. It's like if I just got a record deal,
mm-hmm.
and I want to do conscious music,
right?
Record label's not gonna push that. But now, if I do,
not in 2021, no.
now, and now if I do music, celebrating over sexualization and drugs and things of that nature, then the machine gets behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I get the money, I get the fame, I can buy a car, I can buy a house, cars, houses, everything's honky dory. So then it's like, well, okay, it's not that bad. I can't do the music that's in my heart, but they giving me money, I get to travel, I get to buy this, so it ain't too bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then you get to a certain point in your career, like, nah, it's Kim. I gotta do me. I gotta do me.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back, you try to put out some conscious stuff because now you've created a platform for yourself. Then they come shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden there's, and this is just an example. I'm just throwing stuff together. Now all of a sudden there's allegations on you that are definitely not true, but because they have the media in their back pocket, they can spin it to where it looks very believable. Till you settle down and do what they want you to do again. So then you go back to your old way. You doing the sex, money, drugs, album again. Then all of a sudden the allegations go away. You back on top. You don't want 3, 4 Grammys. You know what I'm saying? You the man again. And I think that's how it is with us as a people.
Right.
We get to a certain point and it's like, you know what? We need to strategize. We need to organize. We need to do for self. Then bam, something happens. Or they'll say, you know what? The black people are getting too organized. You know what? We need to relax a little bit. More of them need to become CEOs. More of them need to become this and do that. When we see our people climbing and growing in the corporate ladder and other aspects, we get happy and then we get complacent.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we get to move out into the suburbs now. Oh, such and such moved out there last week. Such and such got a job at X, Y, and Z. Cool. Obama won the White House.
Yeah.
We went to sleep for 8 years.
Yes, sir.
Pete, we went to sleep for 8 years.
Yes, sir. Sure did.
Because we fell asleep because we felt like there was somebody in the house that would, in some way, shape, or form, recognize us and work to help us minimize the disparity in the wealth gap. We just automatically, as a people, assume that Obama would come in and try to do something to help us get on the level playing field.
And then we quickly learned that he's not control of anything. we quickly learned that. I mean, and President Barack Obama being president, it monumental, fantastic for the black community, but again, it was to the detriment of the black community because again, Chad, you said, like you said, we went to sleep and then we got nothing out of it as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing. Everybody else got something out of it, but us. But
But
we
see,
all we got out of it was we could clap and say he was the first black president. That's all. That's all we got as a people. And so for me, I mean, it was great for as for history purposes.
mm-hmm.
Fantastic for history purposes, but I mean, nothing great
But I
came out
think
of it.
that was fault on both sides. I think that was partial fault on him, and partial fault on us as a people.
Mhm.
Because my opinion, well, now that I'm talking out loud, I don't think that's automatically the case. What I was about to say was we didn't. Well, no, that's true. We didn't come with an agenda and incentives. What
But
what am I saying, Pete? When you have lobbyists, they're
mhm,
coming with an agenda
mhm.
and incentives.
But that has nothing to do with him. That's beyond that has nothing to do with him. As because you're talking about from a that's from a Senate House perspective because they are the ones that get stuff done. They are the ones that get the stuff done. He just signs it into law or he's whatever. But for me, and I know we're going to get back to Stockholm Syndrome in a second, but for me, as far as that was concerned, there was no effort from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand as being a black man, why? Because they lost it over him wearing a tan suit. Can you imagine him
Trying
actually
to do
going
something
out?
specifically for black people. Yeah, they would lose they would
Yeah,
lose
yeah,
their
he
head.
would he'd have been impeached.
Yeah.
He would have been impeached. Which I mean, that it is what it is. But again, our people suffer from a Stockholm syndrome, which is a generational thing.
It is.
It's a
It is.
generational thing
It
because
is.
you know again we've been abused for 400 plus years, and in 2021 nothing has changed.
But you got to
But
understand too, real quick.
mm-mm,
It took that long to get us in that mindset.
mm-mm.
How long you think it's
Bruh,
gonna take us to get us
bruh,
out of you know what I'm
that's what
saying?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and especially when people don't see it as such. When people
Mm-hmm.
don't see that we're in this situation because of complacency, because of this is all we know, because of comfort, because I have a 6-figure job, I have a 7-figure job, and this, that, and the third, or I don't have a job and I can't do nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm homeless and I can't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't make enough money to improve my situation or whatever.
Right.
But as a people, we have to get to a place that we have to start strategizing and doing for self. We have to start strategizing and doing for self and forgetting, I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what you think about my people. This is what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do this for us to become the people that we should be, because whatever we make, they take it from us on whatever level it is, whether it was farming, when we were talking about farming earlier, whether it was, farming, the peanut, George Washington Carver made all these things, and guess they stole it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's sciences. I mean, we can go back to the black man who invented the Nerf gun and the
Yeah, he
super
fought
soaker.
long and hard to get his royalties off of that. I remember that. He lives
Exactly.
here in Atlanta. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, he created the super soaker and Nerf gun, but you would never know it
Right.
because it was
Oh,
taken from him.
what about the movie The Matrix? It was an African American woman who wrote that movie, and
Yeah,
she had to sue and sue, and she finally got her royalties from that.
yeah.
But
So
you'll never know it. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that we've made, we've built, we've created has been taken from us. At this stage in the game, when we do that, we have to keep it. You know what I'm saying? We have to be the ones that profit from it, not 20, 30 years after the fact, because we've had to sue.
Well, Pete, is that part of the Stockholm Syndrome?
What's that, sir?
What's the definition again?
Let me read it to you. Stockholm Syndrome. It occurs when hostages or abuse victims bond with their captors or abusers. So basically, you abuse me, but
I
I'm
find
cool.
some kind of connection with you.
I'm connected to you, and I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? I get to the point where I'm cool with it.
So let me ask you this: so, do you think part of the Stockholm Syndrome with us is in part building this nation?
Of course, because
building this nation.
When a nation or a country is built off a back of a people, which this country was built off our blood, sweat, tears, and labor. No economy. There's no U.S. economy without the slave trade at all. There's no U.S. economy. As I said, there's no U.S. economy without the slave trade. So when you have a situation where in 2021 that your people built this country and you're not getting what you feel that you deserve as a people, you're going to try to stick in there and be like, look, you owe us. You owe us. And that has something to do with it. From the situation where, as a people, this country owes us. You owe us for slavery. You owe us for all the things that we had to go through for this country to be what it is right now. Because this country was built off of free labor. When you ain't got to pay nobody, you keep all of the funds. Guess how quickly your country is going to be rich.
Right.
If you don't have to pay the employees.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You don't have to give them health insurance. You don't have, you know what I'm saying? So, and that has a part of it too, that, we want what we deserve from, building this country. But again, and to piggyback off of that, I want to ask you, Chad, if say, you don't have this syndrome and you have $1 million and you have the ability to get out of this country and move to another situation where you think is better, would you move and where would you go?
That's a good question. and it's funny you mentioned it, because I've thought about it several times. Mm-hmm. I really have. I've thought about it several times. But I think, like we discussed off air, I think it's the fear of the unknown. I got money. I can go anywhere in the world and live and set up shop, but what do I not know about this country? What freedoms am I giving up when I go to this other country? What rules am I going to have to abide by that I'm not accustomed to abiding by because I was born and bred and raised as an American? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Let me pause you right there. What did you just say sounded like?
It sounded like white privilege.
No. I'm going somewhere else with that. No, think a little bit deeper than that. What does it sound like? All the things that you laid down on why you were scared to leave, or you were fearful of leaving this country. What does it sound like?
You talking about slaves?
No. It sounds like, well, you can use slaves as an example. How many times have we heard, especially women, say that when we know women who's had relationships and are being abused? What do they say? I don't know what's outside these doors. I don't know where I'm going to go. Okay, if I do leave, what's going to be next? That's exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. Again, ties right back into that Stockholm Syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
I
like I
would
told
leave.
you off
I,
air, I said we can talk ourselves out of stuff before we even get started.
yeah, I would leave, but
Mm-hmm.
you see what
See,
I'm
when you
saying?
put "but" there, that negates
Hmm.
everything else.
It negates everything else. Until we get to the point as a people, as a black people, when we get to the point where we can eliminate but,
Yeah.
when we can eliminate that but out of that equation, where we get to the point where, doggone it, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there, or whatever, whatever. Because how many times have we've watched the news and people that don't look like us say, if you don't like it here, well, leave. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've heard that plenty of times.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But again, then our pride kicks in as a people and say, hold on, what we just talked about. We built this country, dog. What you mean?
And see, that's the issue that I have. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why would I leave when my forefathers built the infrastructure for this entire country?
Mm-hmm.
Free.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to build an economy and stuff once you got the infrastructure in place.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy then.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part is taking nothing and making it into something.
Mm-hmm.
And we as a people have been doing that for decades.
Mm-hmm. Centuries.
And people have been amazed at how we can take nothing and make something out of it. They call it now black girl magic, black boy magic, but it's the ability to take nothing and make something.
And I don't for those listeners and viewers, I'm geared to say something, and you may or you may not, you may agree with it and you may not agree with it. It don't matter to me. That's why we was first. That's why we was first. We were created first because the stuff that we've gone through, the making, like you said, making something out of nothing. Only only chosen people can do that.
Mm.
Only chosen people can do that. We are the only people to start this thing, to start it, and still to continue to do it. Everybody else came on and took and stole and raped and pillaged, and but we
You've
started
been
it.
waiting for this moment. You've
I'm
been
just,
waiting for this.
bro. I'm just saying.
You was like,
I'm being,
yes, now's the
I'm,
time.
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. There's no way any other culture could do what we've done. First off, being the kings and queens of Africa and a lot of Mesopotamia, we ran all of that. To being stripped from our land, lost our language, lost our religions, lost our culture, lost our last names, all of that, to be brought to a foreign land, to build that foreign land, to survive slavery to the point where and bring things to this land that everybody has stolen off from. Every other race of people have stolen something from us. All of them. All of them.
How many of them, Pete?
All of them.
And you know what? Real quick,
I'm just,
I want to give a geographic lesson because people get it twisted and get it confused. And I want to make sure there's clarity on this matter. Um, Iran, Iraq, uh, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, all that area is North Africa. Our government, the United States, had to find a name for that area. So they came up with what, Pete? The Middle East.
there you go.
That was in 1945. They were given that name by the United States government in 1945. The Middle East does not take away the fact that they are North Africa. People want to separate the two. That's
Yep.
North Africa.
Yep. Yep. All of
That's
that.
North Africa. But they will never say that.
You just did. You just did, sir.
That
And
is
I
North Africa.
and I appreciate that. But again, I mean,
The cradle of civilization. That is North Africa. So
what
before you even get to the Egyptians and the golden era, even before you get there, you had Galilee, Jerusalem, all that area, North Africa.
everything, and if you are a Christian and you follow you read your Bible, everything that happened in that Bible. I'm just saying. Then when they ain't none of them folk was lacking melanin.
Pete, so Stockholm Syndrome.
yeah, back to the Stockholm Syndrome. But again, that is a question that I wanted to discuss as far as with our people. You know, do we suffer from that? Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And why don't we? And if we don't suffer,
and if we don't suffer from it, why don't we leave? But again, that's a very complicated question because mentally you look at it from, okay, why would I leave a country that my people built? Because this country owes us for our free labor.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I do leave, where do I, first of all, where do I go? And then, like you said, Chad, what will I be walking into if I do leave?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pride factor and a fear factor
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in that. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that was a important topic that that should be discussed as far as our people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not only on this podcast, but something that should be, talked about on a national scale.
Agreed.
Yeah, something on a national scale. Why do we suffer from this? I mean, and what are the root problems or the root causes why? And if we don't, why don't we pack up and leave? Or better yet, why don't we come together as a people and do our own thing?
Well, part of that own thing is the healing process. If we
Yes,
do
sir.
suffer, which I believe we do,
Yes,
how do
sir.
we heal from it? How do we correct ourselves?
Yeah, because
That's the only way we're gonna move on. We gotta acknowledge it for what it is, and
Mhm.
then put a plan together. Okay, how do we heal from this? How do we move on for this so that we can, like you said, so that we can do for self, or so
Yeah.
that we can start strategizing and organizing and trying to take ourselves out of the prosperity and wealth gap? How do we minimize that? What do we need to do to try to minimize that? I think the first part is the healing and the acknowledgement.
There's a lot of PTSD that as a people that we have to overcome.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving into the other part of the segment where we are talking about the book of the week. And
Yes,
I
sir.
have brought up a book that I have read, not necessarily cover to cover, but there was some essays in here that I truly enjoyed. The rest of them I do plan to read. However, the name of the book is The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois. And this is the book.
Yes, sir.
It is a collection of essays, 14, I believe. It was one of the most influential
very important
books ever published in America by W.E.B. Du Bois.
Very important book.
It is a collection of essays about the life of African Americans at the turn of the 20th century, late 19th century. Our thoughts, our feelings, our views on how we saw life, on how we saw each other from our standpoint, which is very, very important. It's very rare that you get to see writings where we as a people document, chronicle our lives during that time frame. We have the history books that give us one aspect, and I'm not saying they're all wrong. They could be right, but this is another view, and that's the important thing. You want to get as many different viewpoints of our history as possible. And this The Souls of Black Folks, you can't get any better than this.
Extremely important book. Extremely
Can't get
important.
any better than this.
Yeah. Yeah, I have
Highly
read it
recommend it.
multiple times. Yeah, I have read it
Highly
multiple
recommend it.
times.
It's
Yeah.
very good read. It was the first of many black books to articulate our thoughts, again, our feelings, what was
Mm-hmm.
going on in that day and time for us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me, it's no different than it's like being a Roland Martin of that time,
Mm-hmm.
W.E.B. Du Bois,
Mm-hmm.
except he was way more articulate. No shot at Roland Martin, but I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
W.E.B. Du Bois was the first man to graduate with a PhD from Harvard University in a
Mm-hmm.
time where we were pretty much not liked or fond of to be attending a white university. So that is quite the feat in
Mm-hmm.
that time
Mm-hmm.
to be a black man and to be able to do that. But it just further lets you know, if you really just think about this, that we are just as capable as anybody else to go to an Ivy League school, a regular school, or whatever. We have the
Mm-hmm.
talent and the ability to do it all. All we need is the level playing field, the fair playing field.
That's it.
We can maximize our talents and gifts to the world, because if you really stop and look at it, when we get to that point where it's a level playing field, it can only benefit America as a whole.
That's it.
It can only benefit America
That's
as a
it.
whole. And I don't understand why you don't want the best and the brightest in your areas of expertise. It shouldn't be about color. Who has the ability to take this company or this department or division to the next level?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Mm-hmm.
all it should be about.
Yep.
But again, the souls of black folks, W.E.B. Du Bois. Please
Please.
copy.
Yeah. Yes. Please pick it up. Whether you get it paperback, hardback, or you go to ebooks or wherever you um, do your reading or how reading. Uh, Extremely important book to read. Like I said, I've read it several times. Very easy read. Very read. Um, Extremely important, especially for our people. Man, I appreciate that, Chad. That's a big one right there. That is a
It
big
is.
one. Yes, sir.
Well, anything else, Pete, before I give the Bible verse of the week or the quote of the week?
Hey, I think we've knocked it out of the park again, man.
All right. Well, this week's Bible verse is coming from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And it reads, "Don't copy the behavior and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." That is it, my friend. So again, thank you all so much for tuning in
Thank
to
you.
Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to hear or see, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, please reach out to us at our email address, ourvoice360@gmail.com. Ourvoice360@gmail.com. That is it.
And
Yes, sir.
and
Go ahead.
also my loyal listeners and our loyal listeners and viewers, hit that like button, hit that
Please.
subscribe button, share with your family and friends, man. We trying to get this off the ground, man, and we've been doing it for several months, and we want to grow this platform. So please, if you're a loyal listener or viewer, hit that like, hit that subscribe, share with your friends and family, man. We would greatly appreciate it.
Indeed. And with that, we want to say take care, be blessed, be safe. We're out.
Peace.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when a new show drops. Please rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to advertise or become a sponsor, please send an email to ourvoice360@gmail.com with your inquiry. We'll connect with you as soon as possible in hopes of creating a great partnership. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. See you next week.